Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Text us on 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. You won't. I know you won't.
They will.
Giving you the op.
Because someone's already tweeted us.
Have they?
Yes. Clive.
In what context?
Clive Middleditch. I like him.
I'm glad that you picked your way through that one.
He says, Frank, you're into Merlin, aren't you? Answer me this. Why does Arthur always wear his chainmail around the house?
That's a very good question, actually. He does always wear. He wears like a bit of shoulder, proper armour, and a big chainmail suit.
Why doesn't he change into his nice, snuggly trackies like we do?
He should have some linens or something like that. So,
well, he wears yeah, but you're right, though. He does wear that.
Oh, do you know what?
I'm not right. I've never seen it.
There were
I'm speaking to Middleditch.
There were different times, though. Maybe he's just got
Harry Potter.
I can't remember his first name, sorry.
Clive.
All I remember is written by George Eliot.
Maybe he's just suspicious. He thinks that one of his own staff might go for him and he keeps the kit on.
Well, it turns out,
spoiler alert.
Yeah, let's put it this way, there's enemies very close to home at the moment.
Oh, okay.
Thanks to the intervention of Morgana.
Oh, yeah.
Merlin, those Merlin updates throughout the show for you there.
Yeah. Can I say that...
if we keep any listeners, yeah.
And also, Merlin himself basically dresses like someone in a boy band. He's paying almost no respect at all to the fact that this is supposed to be like the Dark Ages, as they were known.
Oh, right.
Has he gone to the anti-deck shop?
He wears like a suede jacket and... So, yeah, it's like they've thought we want to make him a bit of a sex symbol. We don't want to dress him up old-fashioned. No one will notice. I had to say that a lady called Emmeline sent me a mocked-up photograph this week, having heard of my passion for the Merlin TV show, showing Merlin and Geese, is it Geese? And the Richard Wilson character pointing at and admiring a poster of me on a wall, which they've mocked up. So thanks for that, I appreciate it. Close I'll ever get to being in it, of course, because it's been pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to start the show with a query, if I may. I arrived this morning, I'm always first, and I've got a bit of a throat, I'll be honest with you.
Have you?
It doesn't come out quite as sexy as Emily's. It just hurts.
Yeah.
So I had a Lemsip. I got Sarah to make one for me. Obviously,
Right.
I'm using a taster.
Sarah the Poisoner.
Sarah the Poisoner.
I know, yeah. But I always say, if ever I get anyone to make me a Lemsip, be it a person I'm working with, or be it, my girlfriend or whatever, I'll always say, don't put boiling water in it.
Don't you?
Because it says, don't put boiling water.
Really?
Why is that?
This is news to me.
My theory is there's something in Lemsip that will be killed by boiling water. Something vital. Right. But somebody said to me, no, it's just because boiling water's quite dangerous. And I said, hold on. Surely tea bags would have on them, don't use boiling water, because it's very hot. It's about as hot as it gets.
Yeah.
So if anyone knows, if anyone can tell me why you don't put boiling water in Lemsip, I'd love to know.
I'd be much obliged.
Yeah, I would be much obliged. I would be your...
As Derek Okora says to the
humble
spirits.
and obedient servant. He does say that.
He says that, yeah.
Okay, so, so that's the first text in. Why can't I put boiling water in Lemsip? Doesn't seem fair.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was at a party last night, my first Christmas party of the year. Now, how would you interpret this? A man came up to me and said, do you remember me? And I
Right.
said, no.
Depends on the year. If it was,
Right.
if it was the early 90s, you've had it.
No, it's more recent than that. I said, no, I don't know. I don't know who you are. And he said, well, I produced the show that you did.
Uh-oh.
Frank, did you actually say, no, I don't know who you are?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm fine with
God.
Well, he asked me if I knew who he was.
Yeah.
It was a straight, there was no way out.
Can't go lying, can you?
I couldn't say, well, I do and I don't. And, of course, what I really couldn't say is, well, who wants to know? Anyway, so he said, and of course I did know him, but I said, God, you look much better.
Oh my
Then,
God.
Oh, I think that's a good tactic, that.
No, it's true though.
Yeah, but
I said
for future reference, it's also, I think, a good
I said, of
tactic.
course, I remember it, but I said, but I didn't recognise you. Look much better. Your hair looks better. You look slimmer. You look great.
Hair? You commented on his hair.
Yeah, he
Has
said
he had a
it looked
weave?
much better.
Is it a weave?
I don't know.
Like Wayne Rooney.
And no, he looked great. And I thought that's the best possible reason for not remembering, recognising somebody.
Yeah.
And he said, well, my wife did a runner, so I thought I'd better make a bit of an effort.
Oh, God.
And I said, oh, well, Ivory Cloud. And...
You actually said that.
I did, yeah. What else can you say to
I
that?
suppose it's better
Oh, I
than...
don't know. How about I'm sorry to hear that?
Or,
That might have done.
Too little, too
Instead
late.
of every cloud.
And then...
Now she's gone, you're looking good. Do you think you
And
got
then
this the wrong way around?
No,
That
but
sort
then
of thing.
after, I thought, on the way back, I suddenly thought, well, maybe that wasn't...
Maybe.
that was a little
Maybe.
insensitive. Yeah, well, there was a lull in the sat-nav, and it just came to me.
I've split
And
up with
then-
my partner every cloud.
No, but, well, he said, my wife did a runner, was what he said. So I thought, well, hold on a minute. Here I am beating myself up. Maybe his wife just did a runner. Maybe they were in a restaurant. And his wife did a runner. And him being a bit overweight and I couldn't keep up, and the waiter grabbed hold of him and he had to pay.
Yeah.
So, since then, he's gone on a fitness regime.
Whatever gets you through the night, if it helps you sleep better, to think
But
maybe
he might
that's
have
what
meant
happened.
that. He might have meant that, I think.
I feel ill.
Well, anyway. And,
Frank, we do have... we've solved the Lemsip boiling water question.
Oh, brilliant. What is it?
Well, I can...
I asked, in case you've just tuned in, I asked why you can't put boiling water in Lemsip. There's a big warning on the packet. Actually, it's quite a small warning.
Do you think there's people now that did just tune in going, oh, I missed that?
I
no.
think there's people tuning in that's had a coal for 7 years. And they're thinking, well, I'm spending 80 quid a week on Lemsip, it's not doing anything.
Well-
and now they know why.
Laura from London exclusively reveals that...
I love
she
Laura
says,
from London.
She says, hi, Frank. I think boiling water kills the effects of vitamin C. I remember reading about it in a scurvy book.
Oh, I haven't read a scurvy book for years. Not since I was with
since you-
Bluebeard.
Yeah.
I worked with him as a cabin boy for some
Worked with
time.
them all, haven't you?
Yeah, he was fierce when he was roused, but he had a soft side to him, Bluebeard. At night he'd sit around and tell us tales of his... he'd been a cabin boy himself, worked with some ruthless characters. But he had some quite funny stories. So when you read about Bluebeard and how terrible he was, I'm just saying there was a human side. He was all right with me, is what I'm saying. Was there a murderer called Bluebeard as well, known as
Is that
Bluebeard?
the next text in? We've done
Now,
vitamin
I tell
C.
you what, I
know who he
If
is.
I remember rightly, there was a mass murderer called
Yes, I thought that's who you were referring
Bluebeard,
to.
and I was on about the original Bluebeard.
Oh,
Who was
okay.
a pirate captain, but the
Bluebeard was fond
the
of
mass
ladies as
murderer,
well, yeah.
Yeah, they I believe in court, if I remember rightly, they asked. There's a quote when Bluebeard said, "How do I know how many wives I've killed? I'm a murderer, not a mathematician."
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I was walking along the banks of the River Thames.
Is this a poem?
No, it's...
Got an air of something being
I'm
declared.
going to call it an anecdote.
Oh, excellent.
And there was a family. They looked very much like a family. There was like a male and female of a similar age and 3 much younger people. Mm-hmm. And French is what I'm saying. They sounded French to me. They could have been Belgian, I suppose. They might have been Walloons. Nevertheless, they were. It was 10 o'clock, and Big Ben was just playing it. Da na 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 da na 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 na. And as it began, they went, and then they fell about laughing like it was the funniest thing that had ever happened, ever. I felt a bit left out, I'll be straight with you, and I thought, it seemed to me that it was, you know, these things that families...
Yes.
Every family's got their sort of in-jokes and their things that they do that no
Your
one
sort of
else
signature
gets.
thing, yeah.
You know, sometimes if you start going out with someone, you go into their family and you discover these strange in-jokes that they've got and stuff like that. Now, I could be wrong. Somebody will text in and say, oh, no, there's a popular French pop song to the tune of da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. I remember reading about the bloke who wrote that tune. Actually, it was actually composed. I think he was from Cambridge. And the fact that a bloke thought, oh, no, let me see now, da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na. What do I do for the second half? What about da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na? Yeah, I'll do it. So anyway, I have a theory about these in-jokes. I think that some of the world's great comedy might be hidden away in the secret vaults of families. In the same way that on Antiques Roadshow, someone goes and they say, my grandmother had this up the attic for years.
Like little undiscovered gems.
And, yeah, exactly. That sounded a bit rude that I meant it to. It's my grandfather's mummified. No. The family have kept these great art treasures and no one knew about it, and then suddenly they're out on telly. And what I would like any listeners, if you've got any in-jokes or things that you always do, let us know. I feel a bit like a radio presenter, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because we always had stuff like things that my dad always said, not even jokes, just... You see, the other day... I call her my mother-in-law, although Kath and I aren't actually married. Yeah, Sandy. She bought me a pair of cufflinks.
Oh, that was nice, Frank. What was that in aid of?
Well, I've just had my ears pierced. And I'm looking for something a bit chunkier.
Lovely.
I find a lot of the earrings on the market are very, very fine. So, no, what they were, they're little books.
Oh,
they're
nice.
little, and they're leather covers, and you can open them, and they've got pages.
Wow. That
And
sounds really good.
she said to me, "I got you these. Do you want me to fill the pages in?" I said no. And she said, "I was going to put some of your sayings on there," and I thought, "Hold on a minute." I said, "Hold on, what sayings?" And she said, "You know, you've got loads of sayings."
I like you. You turned into some Prince Philip character. The wit and wisdom.
I don't think I have any sayings. And
I think you've
Kat
got
says,
sayings.
"Oh, you've got loads of sayings."
You have got loads
I
of
think
sayings.
you've got loads of sayings.
I'm
Yes.
worried I'm going to become one of those dads that have sayings.
Oh,
You are a collection of sayings, Frank.
So anyway, I asked her to leave them blank because I like to think that my whole work life has been about the anxiety of the blank page.
nice.
So I've left it like that.
Also,
But anyway,
how big are they that she can fill them in?
well, they're
It's-
quite. I would say they're around about a square centimetre.
All right. To put a full saying on, she's going to need to be like one of those people that can write a name on a grain of rice or something, sure.
Yeah, or it used to be Jesus' head on the head of a pin was a popular one. Yeah, it was in the court of Herod. So yeah, so my dad. I'll play that in a minute. Stop staring at me. My dad used to do this thing. If ever Cary Grant was on the telly, you know
Oh,
Cary
yeah.
Grant.
Oh,
yeah. If
lovely.
ever there was a film with Cary Grant, often a Sunday afternoon there'd be blah blah, and the name would come up Cary Grant. My dad would say, "Cary Grant from the slums of Bristol." Like it was a sort of slightly a tactless chat show host introducing a guest, and he always said it. Somebody, if it was in the paper about Cary Grant, he'd say, "Oh, here you go, Cary Grant from the slums of Yes." I don't even know if he was from the slums of Bristol, but I mean stuff like that, where you just say the same stuff all the time. It's a bit like this show.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Frank, you were talking earlier about little family sort of sayings and
Yeah,
traditions.
family rituals.
You were also getting quite cross because you kept saying, "I don't have sayings."
I still don't think I have any saying.
And then you went, "Shut up about it," which is your saying.
Anyway,
We've had I didn't like the edge to that anyway. Tony Golby has emailed us to say, on the way back from a football match, when the theme tune to Sports Report comes on, we weave the car from side to side in time to the theme tune. My dad did it, I do it, and now my son does it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, that's great.
Is it that one?
It's quite jolly, isn't it? Whatever the tune is, I can't do it, but you can see why it would work.
It's a really famous piece of... How can we not know it? Yeah, it's a very rousing piece of sports music. That's brilliant, but I don't know. Can I say that the official line of Absolute Radio is that you should never drive your car in a weaving line?
No.
Even in the countryside when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have, Frank, coming from a theatrical family, as you know I did. You were art and crafts, weren't you? We're very arts and crafts.
Yeah.
So as you can imagine, we are basically just a collection of sayings. That's sort of all we are, really.
Okay.
We don't really connect other than to quote things at each other. One of our favourites, and it was an old actor friend of my mother's who first said this, if you hear plates dropping or something, crockery or something, and you're in a restaurant, we say, trouble in the wings, dear.
No, really?
I like that.
Oh,
We
I like
say that a lot, yeah.
Whereas when I worked in a pub in Murfield, West Yorkshire, as a teenager, someone dropped a glass, then old Yorkshire men would go, sack the juggler. Yeah, really annoyed me.
Yeah, I've heard comedians on stage say that when someone's dropped it.
Oh, trouble in the wings, dear, is nice.
Do you like it?
I like
I'm
it,
glad
yeah.
you like it.
I watched Bradley Walsh the other night on the Royal Variety performance, and he told the story about Tommy Cooper and the FA Cup final.
Did he
tickets.
really? Well, have a cup of tea on me. Oh, have you got any tickets, madam? That
Yeah.
one? Yeah.
That retro.
Yeah, innit?
I had a mate whose dad... Now, this is a confusion to me, so
Yeah.
perhaps you can help me and clear this up. Whenever they watch tennis in their house, because in those days everybody watched Wimbledon, you just did.
Yes.
Even if you had no interest in it the rest of the year. Whenever they... You know when they serve and the ball hits the net,
Yeah.
they would go, let, and his dad would say, bygones be bygones. And what really confused me about it was I thought they said net. I thought somebody went, net. So I'm sitting in their house and it goes, net, bygones be bygones. And I think, what's going on? Is this a Dadaist poem being composed? But they say let, do they? They do say let.
They do say, well, if it hits the net and goes over, they're saying let.
And it lands in, yeah. And, I mean, I sat with him once, and probably with 20 minutes was in the house. He probably said it about 9 times.
I like that. I like the total lack of inhibition about repetition as
It
well.
was the idea that he didn't think, well, that's enough now. That's enough, bygones be bygones.
I have the thing where when my son is having breakfast, he'll quite often have 2 different cereals in the bowl, and I'll say to him, what are you having for breakfast today? And he'll be like, oh, I've got Shreddies and, whatever... what are they called? The Rice Poppy ones? Whatever
Rice
they-
Krispies.
Golden
Those
Browns.
ones, yeah. They'll have a mixture, right?
Okay. Captain Crunch.
Every time that I'm up, I will say to him and my wife, do you know what? I never had mixtures. I never had 2 different cereals in the bowl when I was growing up. We just never thought of it. And so now, and it's true, we never thought of it.
No.
Either that or we never had 2 different types of cereal in the house. I don't know what it was.
We might do it if we was finishing off a box.
Really?
Yeah, if we was finishing off a box and we had a new cereal arriving.
Oh, lucky you. We were always finishing off the dinner party from last night.
Oh, really?
But at
We
least
didn't
you,
have
at least
breakfast.
you had
Breakfast
dinner.
of vol-au-vents. Yeah, cold vol-au-vent. But yeah, every day I will say, I never had mixtures when I was a little boy, and he'll go, we know! That's now a thing.
See, that's it, you become one of those dads.
Dad.
Yeah, I'm
That's
fine with it.
I'm thinking
I'm
of
fine.
not letting it... I see, they grow organically, these dad sayings.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of maybe getting together with some comedy writers and getting some really polished up, try them out in a few clubs, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, get them right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would do that, but I hate comedy writers.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been discussing sort of, what are we calling it? Family sayings, really.
Yeah.
This is one of my favourites. This is in from Peter, who says, "Hi guys, since Titanic came out years ago, I started putting a line of sugar on the froth of my coffee, and with the kids we shout, 'Jack, Rose, Jack,' until the sugar disappears into the cup. This still endures today, even though the kids are 18, 21 and 28. I know this is a legacy that my children will pass on." That's
But this
Peter
is
Rice.
what I mean about hidden art treasures in the family attic. I think if you were watching Jack and Harry, is that what it's called? Jack and Paul, Harry and Paul.
Oh, yeah.
If you were watching that, and they did that, and there was two characters and they did that, you'd laugh, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
We've also had Jane
Jack and
Ward,
Harry.
who has emailed in saying, "Hi Frank, on your subject of family must-dos, if we hear the word phenomenon in a conversation or on the radio/TV, we have to sing the word phenomenon to the tune of the Muppets theme tune. Try it." Is that phenomenon? Not that one.
That's phenomenon.
Yeah.
Phenomenon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that.
We had a similar thing with Steve McManaman.
Did you?
Yeah.
McManaman.
McManaman.
There's people joining in their cars as they're going about their business.
I
like
like
to
that
think.
Steve McManaman is listening to that.
Oh, I hope so.
That'd be
I'm
good.
thinking I'm going to get that orchestrated and put it on my website.
Or his ringtone.
What comes up when you go?
Could have it as his phone ringtone.
Yeah, you could.
McManaman. Yeah. Me and my brothers have a thing. It's not a tune or anything, but when my brothers were out on a night out in Huddersfield one night, a very drunk girl was shouting at her boyfriend, and I think she was saying, "Go away," but she was saying, "Get your sen off! Get your sen off!" And so my brother said, "Get your sen off," and she turned round, and now it's become a catchphrase, and I'm going to take out a swear word that she included, but she apparently turned round to my brother and went, "You get your sen off, and why don't you get yourself a face transplant while you're about it?" So now we quite often would phone each other up and just say, "Sen off," and leave a message saying, "Sen off."
You've abbreviated.
It's gone really abbreviated. And
That's
face
good.
transplant.
I'm glad you've pared it down.
Oh, we had to pare it down. Yeah. And get yourself a face transplant is just a thing that we say to each other all the time now. And it was.
I'm glad you're
it
not
was pretty
friends
much.
with Isabelle Denoir.
It was pretty much the early days of the face transplanting. Maybe she was being topical. Perhaps it was topical humour on the streets of Huddersfield late at night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Street theatre, maybe? Was it during the Huddersfield Festival of Arts?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it was during
I did a lot of good work there.
Did you?
778. In the 70s, if we went to a wedding or any church function and the priest said, "Amen," my dad would say out of the side of his mouth, "Andrews. Amen."
I should explain that Eamon Andrews was a presenter in the 60s and 70s.
Can I say I love that dad?
Yeah.
I actually love that dad.
Eamon Andrews, who had a hit with the Shifting Whispering Sands, which was one of those spoken
he?
songs that you never get anymore, which began, "I discovered the valley of the Shifting Whispering Sands whilst prospecting for gold in one of the western states." I remember. Anyway, he was commentating on the boxing, and he himself was an amateur boxer. So it's on the BBC, so he commentates on a couple of fights, and then a new commentator steps into the seat, there's a bit of shuffling, and then he comes out and fights.
Wow.
Eamon. Oh, man,
Excellent.
that wouldn't happen again, let's face it. Any other texts?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I'm
actually,
sure there
I've
are.
got one of... This is one of my own. This isn't a text, but I'd like to share this with you.
Okay.
Which is, again...
Can you text it in?
Yeah, okay. I've done it now. Okay, you've got my money. Are you
Okay.
happy? My mother says when she's being an actress, she says when she's in the post office or anywhere where there's a sort of automated tannoy system. When she was in the post office and I was on the phone to her and I heard, "Cashier number 4, please." And she went, "Sorry, darling, I'm on." So we say that every time your number's called. "Sorry, darling, I'm on."
Sorry, darling, I'm on.
My dad had this thing that if ever anyone had a book out or he was reading a book or something, which didn't happen that often, and you got to the contents page,
Yeah.
he'd point at contents and say, "Cows ought not to eat nasty turnip skins." And then he'd go the other way and say, "School time never ends till 9 o'clock." And he said, "That's how you remember how to spell contents." And I remember thinking, it's not that tricky, contents.
You don't need a
You don't
system.
need 2 acronyms. If you can call... I don't know if acronyms would be correct, but You just don't need it. Contents, you can handle that.
I feel sorry for Daisy, our producer, just because she works with us for a start, but also because she was saying earlier that her stepfather says every time they get out salad, he says, salad days.
Yeah.
That would drive me slightly mental.
Salad days, I can see the temptation of that.
Yeah.
It's not a bad gag.
It's a good gag.
Yeah.
I mean, it may be diminishing by repetition, but...
I went through a short period, because she's called Daisy Knight, I used to phone her up, and if I left a message, I'd go, Daisy Knight! But I sensed she was tiring of it.
We do, as a radio family, Frank, I like to think of this as my extended family, we do have a sort of singing one, really, which is whenever you're mentioning the name of anyone who's been slightly a controversial news figure, perhaps, you'll sing it to the tune of The Simpsons, which always makes me laugh. You'll go like, Charles Bronson.
I do that, actually, now you mention it. I do that. Obviously,
so you say you've got no sayings, but...
There's several people been in the news just lately which I can't sing on the air.
No,
but
notice I chose Charles Bronson.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
What a terrible world we live in, that Charles Bronson, one of the most notorious prisoners, is a safe pair of hands. That can't be right.
You say you've got no sayings, but the other day, this is absolutely true, I slipped on ice in the street and properly fell, and as I was falling through the air, I thought, oh, I'm having what Frank calls one of his falls. I was in mid-air.
Blimey. Maybe... Actually, I don't have any sayings. It's becoming one of my sayings. What do you think of the haircut, by the way?
Nice. I complimented you on it.
No, I think it's very, I don't know, but I've been told. That's my American Army.
It is,
I really like it, actually.
I'll tell you what,
Mr. Toppers.
When I have my hair cut, it's a bit like buying your blazer a bit big.
Yes.
I go a bit shorter than I want it. Because I always think it's not going to really blossom for 2 weeks.
You like to get bang for your buck, darling, don't you?
So I think
I
think 2 weeks I'm going to get used to looking a bit bald and that, and then I'll wash it. Saying, it could be 10 days, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I'll wash it, look in the mirror, and think, yeah, that's it.
I'll tell you what, you'll be happy with it by Christmas, won't you?
Oh, Christmas, man, I'll be over that. I can't tell you. Yeah, it's all about deferred gratification.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, Alan Cochrane. You can text us on 81215 and follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute.
Nice. Shall we begin this hour with rounding up some of the questions from the previous hour? Would you like?
Let's do the roundup.
Some resolution.
TCB over there.
We've had a text from Jeff in Hampstead, London. That just
Sorry,
says,
Frank's doing a dad saying. He's saying rolling.
No, go on.
Bluebeard, French fairy tale about Aristo who killed many wives, name given by press to several modern-day serial killers. Blackbeard, famous pirate and befriender of cabin boys. Jeff, Hampstead, London.
No, you see, what's happened there is that I work for, although I obviously work for Blackbeard, I mean, I've been putting Bluebeard on my CV now.
Oh, no.
Made a right fool of myself. I wonder...
It's like putting Sir Alan Sucre.
What worries me is that if anyone has asked for a reference, that letter's gone to a fairy tale Aristo who killed several wives.
Oh, no.
That would account why I've never really had a proper job.
Also, Frank, this news just in re Lemsip from 7:05.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, Frank. Boiling water kills all active ingredients of Lemsip, just as it kills germs. That's from Warren in Gravesend.
In case I was just asking why it says on Lemsip you can't put boiling water in, you have to wait till it, goes off the boil, I suppose would be the technical term.
Yeah.
Kills all active ingredients is a bit vague, though, isn't it?
You think?
What does that mean?
I think it means all the active ingredients that were in there are now dead because you've put boiling water. I think that's pretty clear.
What about the inactive ingredients that are just snoozing? What, they wake up corpses everywhere?
They
corpses and boiling water.
They don't do anything.
Frank,
why are they in it?
A family saying, which I enjoyed, 459, this is Kay. Frank, to distinguish between my brother and my ex-husband, who are both called Gavin, we refer to my brother as Brother Gavin. And whenever we say it, we have to briefly put our hands together in prayer and chant.
Brilliant.
I like that.
I love it.
I know.
And Seb in London has said a friend of mine has a habit whenever he runs for the tube and jumps on as the doors are closing of singing the James Bond fanfare. Always gets some good looks from the other passengers.
That's like my brass in pocket.
It is.
It is.
Yeah,
See, you've got to stick with these things. We have a new thing. Those of you listening on the podcast, this won't make much sense, but people listening live, there's a new thing now that they do on Absolute, and that is that after going up to the news, they have a chunk of adverts, and then they have a little thing that comes on with Matt Berry saying, "And this is listening to Absolute Radio," and then it goes back to the adverts, and it's listed on my list of buttons as the news separator. And already, whenever I think, news separator, news. Yeah, you can't get around it.
Frank, can I tell you what I'd like to discuss right here, right now?
Let me hear you say, yeah.
I'd like to discuss the Pope.
Easy.
Because he's finally... he's sort of come over to the dark side a bit, Frank.
I won't have that said.
No, I love His Holiness, but he's joined Twitter.
When you say you love His Holiness, do you mean do you mean as in him?
Yes.
Referring, or do you love the holiness that belongs to him?
Oh, the office, not the man.
It was tricky. See, when you're talking about the Pope, you gotta know. Yeah.
Frank, he's joined Twitter. His Twitter handle is @Pontifex. Is that Pope in Latin? Apparently, that's quite cool.
No, I
isn't
think
it?
it's a pun on Pontefract.
Big fan of those.
He loves
sweets,
he loves the Yorkshire-based pun.
It means you're he should have got @Pope. Do you think? I worry that someone in Wisconsin has stolen that first.
I think @the Pope has already gone.
No, someone in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Can't they throw money at the problem?
You'd think, wouldn't you? He's been cyber
Hold on, I don't want my money that I put on the plate every Sunday going to some fat bloke in Wisconsin who's called something like Dave Pope.
This is true.
The article I read about it was trying to guess how many followers he will end up with and saying, like, will he rival Lady Gaga? The whole article seemed to be comparing him to Lady Gaga, and I thought, well, he wears some daft outfits, but let's not compare him to
let's
Gaga.
have some music. We'll sort this out off air.
Frank
Skinner
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, Alan was being, I'm not going to say rude, but he was making comments about the Pope's dress.
It was anti-papal remark.
I don't think it was.
Whereas I'm a fan of the red shoes, we've already established.
He wears some fancy Prada shoes, doesn't he?
They're absolutely the most fashion-forward thing I've ever seen.
Fashion forward.
But
he looks totes amazed.
They've been an option for popes before, but none of them's really taken up the red card. He couldn't
why?
Wait,
Why would
to
you-
get them on.
I loved him for that.
Wait.
I won't have a word said against him.
I'm having to be a bit careful about my my Twitter, because I've been a bit sort of, Twitter.
Right. Now you're thinking you fancy it because
Well,
the Pope's
obviously now
got
the
it.
Pope's on. I mean, I am one of his followers already.
Yeah.
Not even on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's true, Frank.
But I was just thinking that I was talking to someone at a party last night. This is someone else, not the man whose wife had done a runner. And they were talking about mobile phones, and they got their phone out, and they had a very simple, straightforward,
I know, you're old school 90s.
One of those ones that you just phone and text on. I don't think it even had a camera. You believe it? And I think now that kind of phone has become what, at one time the mobile phone was the height of op-yourself-ness. If people. And now showing one of those simple ones, I think, has become a sort of symbol of like people who say they don't have a telly. It's become, oh no, I'm not joining in. And I find it made me think after, again on that journey on the way home, that when I talk about Twitter, am I being a bit, oh, I don't have a telly? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I do think it is sort of like being on the electoral roll soon, and you will have to join.
I'm worried that people will say nasty things to the Pope on there, though, and there'll be a hostility.
Well, the
What do I
tweets
know?
start on December the 12th. He will be tweeting himself, apparently.
Yeah.
He'll be tweeting himself. What's the point of that?
But, I mean, he is of a certain age. I wonder if he's got a mobile phone with big buttons. I wonder if he's got one of those ones like...
I think he's got a Pope mobile.
A Pope mobile.
I just I hope he doesn't overtake Stephen Fry. Because Stephen Fry's got about 5 million. I don't think he'll take kindly to being trumped by His Holiness.
I just hope that there is a technical assistant to get him through it.
You think?
Because he's an old man. I don't want him to accidentally end up on Grindr. Can you imagine the abuse you get on there?
Might be worse on Twitter. Who
I'll
knows?
be like a stranger in a strange land. Mind you, I'll be absolutely honest. I think I would prefer that to him being on LinkedIn. If he went on LinkedIn, I think I'd convert to the Church of England.
I wonder if he will end up there.
What are we
We'll
going to
start
do
getting
about
emails.
people on LinkedIn?
What are these people who,
Can they be rounded up? I
Yeah.
hate them, Frank. I hate you all. On
Yeah, somebody
LinkedIn.
wants to put you on there, something on LinkedIn. I get that. What are you talking about? Leave me alone. And also, I'm happy that was it PIP, this stuff? Was that what PPI?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
Were you
them on it.
missold?
Keep them
the
on it.
money.
Yeah, have a drink.
Keep your 2K.
Just
It's a drop in the ocean to you, isn't it?
get off my back.
Historically
Get off
speaking.
my back with the PPI money. Oh, we've got a check. We've got a check ready for you. It said we've got a check ready for you for £1,200 PPI. Right, it said.
Did you just text
Check.
back? Keep it.
Check. Where did this text come from? 1978. Do you mean you got a check? Where did you find that? Don't bother me. I'm not that crazy about texts from friends.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I believe that we're shortly going to go to email corner, but just before we do, as you know, the Pope isn't going to be tweeting till, is it the 12th of December, Emily, that you said that?
I believe so.
So I've got
I'm
a-
his representative here in the studio.
I've got a
They're
few
not on
draft tweets of the Pope's for when he does start tweeting. I love God, hashtag just saying. No. Just been unfollowed by @JudasPriest, I'm not sure why.
Dude, what, they don't like the band?
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't know that though, would he?
No.
He's probably just thinking it's someone that he works with. Isn't it? Like a colleague.
This is like working with Stephen Fry.
Is it? Fed up of people looking forward to time off at Christmas. Hashtag my busiest time of the year. Hashtag can't wait until summer.
I'm hoping that he does all his tweets in Latin, as if to say, yes, I'll come this far, modern world, but you've got to come a little bit towards me as well.
I think he is going to do them in Latin, isn't he? Isn't he
Oh, I'd
going to
love
do
it if
them
he
in
did.
Latin?
I'm a huge fan of Latin. I think all children should be taught it. We
Oh, God, I think that is actually Absolute Radio policy. Shall we go there?
let's do it.
Okay, let's go there. Jarive, eh? Or is it Jarive? Jarive, I think it is.
From the Pope to an atheist. Dear Frank, Alan and the lovely Emily, I'm an Englishman in New York, and despite my atheist views, I've been listening to the podcast religiously.
Oh, yeah.
Alan will be pleased to hear that I often listen on a long run, and in truth, it really helped me to get through a lot of training last year when I ran the New York Marathon. So
You
thanks
got that
very
in.
much.
You got that in.
I really like
Oh,
it
yeah.
when people listen on the
Actually, that's not quite all.
Oh.
As I was over in London this week and visiting a company called Pentland, who proudly told me, while on the tour of their impressive offices, that Frank had availed himself, I love the idea of you availing yourself, of their swimming pool whilst training for the Great Length. No night's move from me.
The Great Length is... that's my version of Mr. Right.
Yes.
I'm waiting for the Great Length around the corner.
He says, no night's move from me, even despite the husky voice. I'm very happily married and am now smart enough to try to stay that way.
Oh, I
The-
like that
Like
now.
now,
and that,
use
yeah,
the
yeah.
word now.
Yeah, reform
Oh,
player.
It's
yeah.
a man who's made some mistakes in the past.
Yeah. He would have been vulnerable to my charms a few years back.
Yeah.
Though, of course, if any of you are ever in New York, I'd be happy to buy you a pint/Cosmopolitan/Club Soda. That's John Collins.
I think I'll have a salt beef sandwich over rye.
Club Soda's quite retro. Are you sure it's not Joan Collins?
Oh, maybe I'll have a root beer if I'm in New
lovely,
York.
Frank.
I'll have the pint of Cosmopolitan.
So,
That's not what he meant, is it?
No, that doesn't sound right to me, does it?
Frank, that's exciting.
It was very... that Pentland place where I used to go and learn to swim, it was really luxurious, and I thought it was like a big leisure centre stroke art centre, and then all these people came in at lunchtime, and I said, oh, do you work locally? And they said, no, we work here. And it turned out that it was like offices, and this was just their sort of leisure facilities downstairs.
Wow.
When I started work, I think we had a microwave. That was it. I often didn't use that. I used to have one of my favourite things. I used to take cold sausage sandwiches into work and eat that.
I can't
It's
actually...
like eating a batting glove.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We're still in email corner. Hello,
You
Mr.
are.
Radio Cockerell and the lovely Emily. I listen to you when I'm out running. Oh, I really like it. Hello, runners.
Why
And
do you
it's,
like it?
I just like it. You get a really big connection with a podcast when you're running, because there's only you and them. It's different. And it's lovely to catch up on what I've been missing in the UK, brackets. I left the UK in 1998. I've been listening for a while.
See, I have a sense if people listen when they're running that we are somehow mixed in their mind with dog mess.
Well, that's fine. That's fine too, I think. I've been listening for a while, but if you could fill me in on the highlights/lowlights of 1998 to 2011 in the world of Frank, I'd appreciate it. Naps in the Central Reservation, ?
How dare you?
Emily, can you update us on the 30 days to OMG diet, please? Dying to hear the results here in Denver. Love the show, thanks for making me laugh so consistently. I like the so consistently there. So...
Oh.
So what did I do between 1998 and 2011?
Yeah, and I suspect he thinks
how long
that
we
those
got?
years covered the falling asleep on the Central Reservation,
No, well, I'd
but
stopped by then.
that was pre.
I remember on
wasn't it?
December the 31st, 1998, I partied like it was 1999.
Oh, did you?
But then when it got to 1999, I
You were over
stopped.
Did you?
I missed...
Oh, that's where you and I differed then.
Yeah, because it was odd, because once it became 1999, I didn't have to pretend anymore.
Yeah.
I missed the pretense. It
Well,
was
I
like
suppose
it was like the
1990.
Darwins. Remember that couple, the Darwins, after they discovered he hadn't been killed in a canoe accident?
Uh-huh.
I think life
Well, you
had
know
been dull.
I'm a big fan
after-
of his son.
Yeah, I
One of
remember.
my obscure crushes.
I'd say that the highest point of that year was discovering Merlin, the TV show. That really. And the lowest, I'd say, was almost certainly it being pulled 6 weeks later.
Yeah.
I mean Merlin.
I mean, we should. Oh no, 2012. Your son was born. I was about to say that. That's a period
Yeah,
in which
exactly.
you became a father.
No,
but
that was after 2011.
No, you've boxed clever there, haven't
That
you?
would have been in there. Can I say, by the way, if any of you's thinking that you might try Merlin, can I say it features, I think, one of the great credits of all time.
Which is what?
Well, you know what? I mean, I've mentioned to you before Zulu as Kono.
Oh,
From,
you love that, Frank.
Yeah, from Hawaii Five-O. But John Hurt as voice of the dragon.
Oh, nice.
I'm very pleased with that as a credit.
That's great.
It reminded me of Anthony Howard as voice of the Ring. Do you remember that in Lord of the Rings? There's quite a well-known Shakespearean actor I saw do a fabulous Richard III once. What a night that was. And it wasn't rhyming slang, it was art. And he did that. Remember the Ring would go...
Oh, yes. When it got all spooky.
I often wondered if that was on his CV. Yes, I do Shakespeare, voiceovers, jewellery work.
I like it when they're photographed in spotlight and they have two pictures, with hat, without hat. That's how versatile they are.
Or with spectacles, without spectacles.
I don't know. We can talk about this in a moment, but I don't know if you've seen the. There's footage of dogs driving cars
Are you
this
setting
week
some
on the.
sort
old-
of agenda?
I'm setting an agenda. Before that, I'd like to speak about the trouble we've had with my dog, our dog, the family dog. You know, we've got a Whippet.
Yes.
I got it just before I joined this
yeah.
show, in fact.
I texted you only this week to say I admired his metabolism.
It's a she.
I know, and you told me
And,
it was she.
They're all he, though, aren't they, dogs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I suppose so, yeah.
I feel
I
weird
think people
calling
expect you to have a boy dog, don't they? They
I
just
think
do.
I call a cat she, and I call a dog he.
Well, cats are feline creatures, you're
I
right.
mean-
Yeah, I suppose there's a logic. Anyway,
Well, I don't want to get into details with these things.
she's been a bit problematic.
Who?
The
the cat?
Whippet. No, the Whippet.
Oh, okay.
The dog, my dog, our
Yeah.
dog, Lucky the dog.
Problematic.
Oh, well, there was a period where she was...
Frank!
Hold on a minute.
No, not that, not that. She was soiling during the night. And
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And also she's been kind of barking at other dogs in a confusing way. So
I think they do that, though, don't they, dogs?
Oh, I do.
yeah,
that.
they do if they're nervy and timid. But anyway, this week we've had a dog expert come out and have a little chat to her and a look at her.
Oh,
From which agency?
From
which
dogexperts.com. I don't
but
know.
how do you find the dog?
Oh, I
what,
see.
What do you mean? It's from
Google.
the RSPCA?
We just Googled it.
Like a dog therapist? I
Yes,
think.
a dog therapist came out because what had happened was somebody had said, "Well,
This
during
is a
the
man
night."
who won't spend more than 10 quid on a pair of shoes.
Oh, that's not true. My reputation for stinginess. I love buying shoes. We had started to, because of the fireworks as well, the dogs get scared during the fireworks. So what we'd started to do was when we were putting her to bed, we had a little, just a little battery-operated radio.
You're
And we were
kidding
just
me.
putting the radio on.
What,
So
two-way? What, like a monitor?
No,
Oh my
not
God,
like a
she's
baby
on,
monitor.
She's on
like a
CB,
radio.
that whippet.
Yeah.
But it wasn't playing AM, so the dog's been listening to Radio 2 all night, and
Oh,
I can't
wow.
help but feel like you shouldn't be playing a rival station to the one that you work on.
No, that's wrong.
Yeah. I don't know how their
Do
radar
you honestly
figures
have a
are doing.
radio in the dog's
We have,
basket?
we have a little radio by the dog, and
This is a whole sort of...
and she started to bark and sound a little bit like Janice Long introducing a song
There's
during
a
the
whole-
night. It's,
Paris Hilton side to your
Yes.
personality I've never seen before.
yeah, it's amazing. But anyway, this dog dude basically said, she's a bit nervy, and you need more control of her in the house. The more control you've got over her in the house, the less scared she'll be out in the wide world. And when other dogs come past, you just distract her with a treat, and then, you can kind of take some of the nervousness out of her life. So it's all about treats now.
They're very trembly, though, with
Really
pits.
trembly, yeah.
Or often a trembly limb.
But I feel
They are-
embarrassed to
they're
admit to
genuinely trembly.
I feel embarrassed to admit to Emily that we're now in the market to buy a bomb bag. We need a bomb bag so that we can put all these sliced up bit of hot dogs
Didn't
in.
even know you could still get
Oh,
bomb
give my
bags.
love to your friends in Arkansas.
A fanny pack
We need a fanny pack full of hot dogs, yeah.
Oh my
Also,
God.
what's the
full of
etiquette?
hot dogs.
Yeah, little sliced up bits of hot
That's
dogs.
exactly what I used to take to work with me when I first started work. Oh, in my end is my beginning.
Yeah,
Blimey, that's...
but my fingers sometimes smell of hot dog sausage if we give her
Oh.
too many.
This is so... I feel so uncomfortable.
my stomach's really knotted up.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We was talking about Lucky.
Lucky
Alan
the
was
hound.
talking about the whippet.
Lucky the hound, yeah. There was a slight awkward moment because the dog therapist that came along to deal with her the other day was Irish. And when you start overthinking things, there was a point where I was talking about how she'd soiled her bed, and I said, "Oh yeah, it was like a dirty protest in there." And then I thought, "Oh,
That's tricky.
I've gone and said it," but we had to skirt over it. And then there was another awkward moment where, because he wants us to constantly reward the dog for doing good things and then ignore it for doing bad, that sort of stuff, So we're
That's
giving
what I
it-
do to my men.
Yeah, exactly.
So
There's a system.
no punishment for bad things.
Oh, you don't punish, you totally ignore the bad stuff and just reward the good stuff.
You might as well stop smoking.
So at one point we went on a dog walk, and I said, because obviously there was a bit of me that he had a pouch full of sliced up hot dog, and I was thinking,
Did he?
if we're going to be giving
Oh,
The
God.
dog dude.
the dog dude had his own treats with him, and
Right.
I thought, we're going to be going through probably a pound or two a week just in hot dogs, treating
Does he
this.
carry that around all the time? The
Yeah,
chopped
yeah.
up
When they're in the
sausage?
bomb bag,
Yeah.
are they in like a packet though in the bomb
Absolutely
bag?
disgusting.
It's just they're actually the
just in there,
sausage
yeah.
is actually up tight up against the
It's
inside
against
of the bomb
fabric,
bag.
yeah, it's totally
Oh.
against
Against
fabric.
The fabric.
But just
I
so
could go
both
on a
you
date
could-
with him.
I wonder
Yeah,
if
yeah, I don't think he takes it on dates.
Load of old
I
sausage.
don't think he
in
takes
his
it on
mouth.
dates.
I'm just
disgusting.
desperate to know if he ever gets one caught in the zip.
Can you imagine?
Can I just reassure you both? Because I think you're bringing a human level of hygiene to what is a dog.
Say he doesn't take it on dates. He could have been training
No, I
someone,
don't-
and then he could go straight on. I take my work stuff with me.
I know Lockie won't mind if there's a slight taste of fabric in the sausage. They're easy going on the food front.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking is, let's say there's a recession. Nobody's job safe.
Broken Britain.
Let's say if
For
the
the dog
dog
therapist.
dude loses his job, what's he going to use that bomb bag for then?
I don't know, maybe international travel or something.
But you don't want to put, like,
his passport.
Always bang for the buck. See, I'm more concerned about how he reeks when he walks.
You don't want to keep
through
a
the street.
personal organiser in that bomb bag.
I didn't get near him, but he
His
smelled
Philo.
fine.
What's he going to put his Philo?
His Philo.
Along with his Nokia.
His Palm Pilot.
But there was an awkward moment where he said, "Oh yeah, just distract her if there's other dogs that she seems a bit scared of. Just stop her and maybe practice getting her to sit or give her a treat for the sausage." And I said, "What if we ever forget the treats? Because obviously I was thinking this is potentially £1 a week in hot dogs. I'll deliberately forget the treats. And,
More than £1 a week, I would
Possibly.
Oh, I'll be bound.
So he just looked at me as if to go, just don't do that.
Really?
He gave me a look as if to go, no, I'm teaching you how to train your dog. Just train your dog. Don't.
I mean, sausage, it's not the treat it could be. I know a dog, they like sausage traditionally. I
Oh,
think
they
this
love
bloke,
it.
he's based his entire theory on Punch and Judy. What I would wear is a pair of bandoleros. You know the bandoleros that they used to put the cartridge cases in, those cross belts that Mexican bandits
Oh,
wear.
yeah, those girls give you shots at,
Full of Smarties.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And just give them a few Smarties.
I don't think you're meant to give dogs chocolate, but...
Oh, come off it. Not give dogs chocolate? What are you talking about?
Bad for them.
That's all they live for.
Dogs?
Yeah.
You've given dogs chocolate?
Have I given dogs chocolate?
These views are coming from Birmingham 1972.
Makes them ill.
No, it doesn't. They love it.
It really does.
I'll look into it. Let's have some adverts. I'm going to look into it.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Hey. This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio. Hear me what I'm saying. Yeah. We got Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text us on 81215. I say 81215. Follow us on Twitter at Frank on Absolute. Absolute. In my imagination. There's an animation. Think about it all the time.
Is this one of your start of the hour mashups?
I'm dreaming.
Is that what's happening?
You're in love with me like I'm in love with you, but dreaming's all I do.
I like this.
That's
This is
true.
a 9-year-old in the 90s who's had too much cake, and I like it.
It should be. Okay, yes, I need to calm down.
Right.
People at home, so I've just woke up, I've got a hangover, shut up.
Two
I haven't
things.
even got me tour t-shirt on yet.
Two things. Firstly, loving the houndstooth on you, by the way.
Thanks. See, I call that dog tooth, Jack, and you call
I
it
know, my
houndstooth.
darling,
Let's
but it's
call the whole
houndstooth.
thing. Yeah, okay.
Also, I've been poisoned. This news just in.
dear.
Oh,
Anyway, we've had a text in from Gareth. It's an email,
Not
actually.
from Gareth. It's too late now to apologise. Go on.
This is Family Sayings. He says, Gareth says, Frank and team, ever since we were young, when we arrived at a destination, my dad would always say, here we are, and to prove it, we're here.
That's such a classic dad thing to
That's
say.
great.
I now find myself saying it even though I don't have kids, and have been known to say it even when there is no one else in the car.
Those are the best ones.
Yeah.
Talk about an insight into the modern world. We got to somewhere the other day, and my son, we'd already turned the sat-nav off, and my son went, but we haven't reached our destination. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've also got one entitled Family Jokes. Morning, Frank. Do you remember when Eric Morecambe looked out of the bedroom window and an ambulance passed by with its siren on, and he said the immortal line, "You'll never sell ice cream going at that speed"? Both my wife and I say this every time we see an ambulance with its siren on. Much to the annoyance of our 12-year-old son, who says it's no longer funny. But I say it may not be funny to you anymore, but I guarantee he will say it to his children in the future.
Yeah.
That's from Bill Sandylands.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think I went to Sandyland.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it's a
Sure you
fabulous theme park.
All right.
Based on
Based on the
absolute newsreader Sandy Moore.
The life and work of Sandy Wall.
Yeah, brilliant.
Frank, 001. Frank, if we want a cup of
001 has finally got in touch. I mean, this is great. This didn't even happen. I watched it. There was 13 episodes of The Prisoner. They never tracked down 001. Brilliant. What does he or
Surely
she
he should
speak
be
from
James
Higher
Bond's boss. Frank, if we want a cup of tea and coffee in our house, we say, hey, TC, in the Top Cat voice. That's from Shazzy.
As in T or C.
Isn't he? Yeah. But more importantly...
My coin hasn't arrived, by the way.
Your
You know my
coin.
coin on a string that I said I...
Oh, yeah, the Top
Yes.
Cat coin.
Yeah, no sign of it. I
Where
think
is
what
it?
he's done, he's put it in the post box and then he's pulled it back out again
Although-
instinctively.
Just FYI, the Rocking Horse man has been getting in touch with me. Lovely chap on
Really?
Twitter. Yeah, I'm friends with him on Twitter. He does want to deliver it, so we need to
Wants to
arrange that.
deliver?
Yeah.
Okay.
Frank,
Well, I've got a lock-up down south.
Have you?
No, I might get a small stable for him.
Frank, we were talking about Alan's Whippet.
Yes.
And Martin Williams has tweeted us to say, did you see the footage of the dogs driving? I assume it was a Rover. Excellent.
Oh, I see.
That's a good joke.
It is. We're off. We're off.
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
this section. I saw a still of the dog driving. I didn't actually see any moving pictures.
You need to see some moving pictures. of
How
it.
was it
Moving-
driving?
Monty looking out of the window in a sort of casual loose, checking out the ladies' way.
Really?
It was
Yeah.
fantastic.
I mean, I don't want to be pedantic, but it wasn't using its mirrors at all. So on a highway, it would have
No.
been very hazardous for the motorcyclist.
Yeah, I don't know if you could allow them out on the... I mean, it'd be great to have a dog that could drive. If I might start drinking again.
It's one of my greatest disappointments that Shep never learned. I have to say.
I love the idea of being in the back seat of a car with a dog driving and me with my head out the window. It's a fabulous turnaround.
I can't imagine how difficult it'd be to get insurance. So presumably Churchill would do it, but nobody else.
I don't know. I need to talk to you about dog ownership because I've been through a big change in my life on the dog ownership front, and I think only a dog owner would understand. And there has been talk about Emily possibly getting a
Well,
dog.
yeah.
That's been kept
Just
under
for
wraps.
Christmas, though. I'm joking.
I think that's all right now. I remember me and David Baddiel tried to hire one once for a week. I couldn't get one.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You see, I've always assumed that you have a child, you buy a house with a garden, you get a dog.
Yeah.
That's and this is because I've always loved dogs, and I've always associate people who own dogs as sort of have a natural warmth about them in the way that cat owners are often sort of cold, intellectual types. And the
Evil.
people, not necessarily evil, but certainly I think evil is in the ballpark there somewhere. But dog owners, I've always thought they're the sort of people you can sit and maybe if you're in a log cabin,
A bit salt of the
somewhere.
earth types.
Yeah. Now, of course, dog owners I see round by me, they're drug addicts.
Only if it's on a
Dangerous
string.
Yeah, but no, I'm on about the whole dangerous dog thing has put
Oh,
me
I
off.
see, yes,
It's put
I
me
know.
off dogs altogether. And now I'm
Oh.
thinking I won't have a dog.
Mm.
Because,
Well, I've got my eye on a Pomeranian, as you know.
yeah, but you know what I mean? The sort of people know with the big dog. And also all this stuff about not giving it chocolate and all that. Where's the fun? Where's the fun in having a dog anymore?
I like your reason for not buying a dog is because drug
Can't
dealers
give it
have
chocolate.
it and you can't give it chocolate.
We used
On
to,
that subject, we
with
did
Shep,
actually-
we used to give it toffee, and then I'd do the voice. So when it was chewing, I'd say, "How are you this morning?" And it looked like he was talking. If you could sync it up right, it's tremendous
Isn't
fun.
that how they did the horses? What,
So they
the-
did Mr. Head. Well, they did.
Mr. Head and the
Actually, they
flower
did.
pot, yeah.
You know,
No, they did peanut butter on the roof of the mouth.
That's
oh,
right.
so
yeah.
cool.
And some animation for the tricky,
Uh-huh.
more wordy sections.
I hope that was a credit at the end and some animation.
We
But
did
Frank-
have a text clarifying, hi Frank and Co, chocolate is poison for dogs unless it is made for dogs, and there are chocks made for dogs and they are available from your local pet store. Best wishes, Happy Pets, Droitwich, which I thought was nice.
Now, you see, they've got a reason for championing the belief that you can't give dogs chocolate, because they
Oh,
sell
really?
dog chocolate.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
suppose so.
Well, all I'm saying is we had loads of dogs and we always gave it chocolate, and they lived.
They all died.
They got old. Well, they died eventually.
Do you know what they do now? I've got, when I get my Pomeranian, my David, my male manicurist,
Oh,
his
yeah.
partner, who's male, they run a doggy daycare centre.
Oh.
Fabulous. But what you can Skype the dog throughout the day.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, no, it's
Wow.
fantastic. So then it'll be nice. It's like having a child or something.
But you'll constantly worry about your dog, because when you
No.
Skype saying
No,
how
no.
you're feeling and it Skypes back rough.
Oh,
Well, you can't Skype Lucky. She used to be on CB. Definitely. What I'm looking for, if I could get... This is the only dog I think I'd tolerate now.
Yeah.
If I could get a very intelligent, dominant dog, then I could get a job as a dog walker, and I needn't go. I could make that one as the lead dog, like I do with huskies, and it could just take them out to the park for 2 hours and drop them off at their respective houses, and I'll grab the money at the end of the week. Team leader, that's what I'm going to call that animal. If you've got one like that, I suppose a rocking horse. No.
Frank
Skinner.
on Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
You know, we were talking about dog owners and you being a fan of the dog owner and me thinking cat owners are slightly evil. And we've had a text in from 735. Frank, may I remind you Hitler loved his dogs?
Oh, yeah, true.
Blondie.
True.
He died in the legs of his Alsatian.
Hitler did.
Well, they don't have arms, do they?
He died in
In the legs of his Alsatian.
Did he actually?
Yeah. I think him and Ava Braun and Blondie, the Alsatian, were in a heap when they were found.
Really?
Yeah, he took cyanide and Ava took cyanide and he gave Blondie a double-decker. That did the trick.
Blondie.
Blondie. Where's Blondie?
Frank, 402, says, morning all, hot dogs absolutely work. My intellectually challenged beagle now has an impressive repertoire of tricks courtesy of sliced hot dogs. That's from Joe. P.S. You can get big jars in Poundland.
Excellent.
Filthy.
See, I don't think they should be called... these are not hot dogs. These are Frankfurters, aren't they? Hot dogs would suggest that
You're
the
worried about
roll...
the cannibalism thing.
No, I'm
Giving a
fine
dog
with-
hot
I've always
dog.
been fine with cannibalism. I
Good to know where you stand on
I
that.
still write to Armin Meivers, the German cannibal, in prison.
Oh, yes, I remember him.
I've
The fan of
suggested
Star
it.
Trek, wasn't he?
I've suggested a civil partnership. But I just thought that would be a great brag, wouldn't it? What about dropping that on my girlfriend? Well, did I tell you I'm in a civil partnership with Armin Meivers, the German cannibal? Hot dog?
Good data retention on his name, by the way.
Oh, well, I'll never forget a
everyone's
German
impressed
cannibal.
by
It wasn't like it was a run-of-the-mill
one of your
story.
rules as well.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
forget a
That's one of
German
my sayings.
That's like me and my Sophie Omogbokpu,
Yeah, exactly.
who I hope you're familiar with her work.
I'm not aware.
Frank?
She had a dispute with Cheryl Cole in a toilet.
toilet.
Oh, it was her, yeah.
Toilet attendant Sophie Omogbokpu.
I know her work, yeah, I didn't know her name.
Do you know her work?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. How is she handing over the breath fresheners?
She was good, yeah.
Okay.
Little splash of Paco Rabanne as well.
You see, don't squabble with the national treasure.
Are we heading to email corner? Is
I
that
believe we
part
are.
of
Do you want the
intention?
music and everything?
Yes.
Okay.
It's up to you.
I just think sometimes the listeners are thinking, oh, not this.
Well, why don't
stupid
you sing
jingle.
it, darling, a little bit?
Email corner.
Darling.
That sounds horrible.
I like to.
Hi, Frank.
Email corner.
Oh, the fall could have done it.
There you go.
He went this week. He got excited.
Yeah.
I did. I went to the fall. Someone threw a pint of beer over Marky Smith's wife.
Oh, because that never happens at a full gig.
No, but they shouldn't throw it over a lady.
Yeah, how did that go down?
She was angry.
Was she?
Really?
We all were.
How was Mark?
He was all right with it. He sort of
Was it
restrained
Mark?
her.
Was it Mark?
He sort of held her back, saying, as if it was an occupational hazard.
Like, we've all had a drink.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we're in email corner now, officially.
Okay. Hi, Frank, Emily and Alan. I'm a 16-year-old boy from Canterbury, and I absolutely love your show. It brightens up my day and sends me into school upbeat and cheerful.
Well, there isn't enough for that. I mean, there's a lot of stuff now sending kids into school upbeat and cheerful, but it's not legal, any of it.
No. But there is a problem.
Uh-oh.
Now, this strays awkwardly towards praise, Frank, but hear him out. I always find myself laughing a lot and get many stares from passers-by who don't seem to comprehend comedy through earphones. I've become so embarrassed I have to resort to wearing a scarf that covers my mouth and nose. While this is fine in the winter, I'm dreading the summer months when I can't cover my grin. What do you all suggest I do? That's from Sam.
Well, leave it to us, Sam. We'll be less funny in the summer.
Oh,
How's that for a deal?
I had a better idea. Motorbike helmet, full leathers.
Oh, lovely.
In the summer.
Well, why not?
Yes, pizza delivery man chic.
Yeah, exactly.
The way
loose
I
silk
cut, I'm
turtleneck.
currently listening to James Boswell's Life of Samuel Johnson as an audiobook, 43 hours, 13 minutes.
Wow.
And
a
I
commitment.
find myself laughing at that and sometimes applauding. And I find that what I've done in order to... Because people used to stare. What I've done now is I just release just a little bit of dribble from the corner of the mouth. And no one looks.
Oh.
No one looks anymore. What else?
I've got an email here.
Have you?
Yeah, it's a doozy, if I can say that. Spoiler alert, it's a doozy. I'm listening to last Saturday's podcast and wondering how overhearing your partner saying he's awful can make that guy storm out of the pub, etc. Do you remember
Oh,
that
yeah,
guy?
a guy, yeah.
Yeah.
He'd heard his girlfriend describe him as...
Yeah, he's awful.
I
And
don't-
he-
like I said, I
he
don't think it's that
assumes-
bad.
Like, even at the time I pointed out that the end of the sentence could have been at tennis or, you know, he's awful because he
He's
spoils me
awful
so
at
much.
being
You know.
rubbish.
Or
Yeah,
Dick
yeah.
Emery, but I like him.
Yeah, exactly. How about finding out that your girlfriend of 9 years is practicing black magic and voodoo without your knowledge on a random email, and then finding a small coffin full of needles and weird powders in your bedroom cupboard?
Needles and weird powders. You're going out with Pete Doctor.
I was more concerned about the girlfriend of 9 years, but I think it's the length of the relationship. He's practicing black magic. He's then
dear.
put, I know how it feels now. He's got a black magic woman.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's looking forward to seeing Alan's stand-up show in Cambridge 2013. And if you need any help with things in French, fire away. Cheers, Jean-Luc.
Oh, God, that's a good switch at the end. I didn't see the
Oh, I
French.
love a French.
I went out with
Lovely.
someone who said to me, I must have told you this before. She said, I took your fingernails that you left in the ashtray in the bedsit. I was living in a bedsit then in Harborne in Birmingham. She said, I took your fingernails. I said, all right, thanks
She
very much.
didn't.
And she said, I can use those now in a spell and I can make you love me forever.
She did not say that.
She did honestly say that.
But she didn't do
But
it.
how long did you go out with grot bags for?
Didn't work.
Hot bags.
It was a, you know,
rare.
obviously I went off her a bit after that. But also, what I didn't tell her, they were actually toenails. So God knows what happened with the spell.
Oh.
She might have given me the power of flight. And I've just never tried it. Never had the nerve to try it.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Frank,
What?
oh my God, I hate it when you're like this. As a professional watcher of my weight, you look like you're cringing. Why is that face?
I'm thinking, do you mean that you are or I am a professional watcher of your
No.
weight?
Yeah,
I
it did
am.
sound for
Oh,
a bit
okay.
like you thought Frank professionally kept you on and off the scales. And
Yeah, it's too big a responsibility.
I was
When I say it's
slightly-
too big, I don't mean...
You don't mean there's junk in the trunk? How dare you?
No.
Talking of junk in the trunk, see, I've been very alarmed to hear. Did you read about this Brazilian prison inmate who his
Oh,
escape
he got
plan?
stuck.
He got stuck, Frank. He got stuck in the hole. They smashed a hole through the side of the prison wall, but did you see him coming out?
It's a
He was
lovely
bald as a-
old-fashioned way of getting out of
Yes.
prison, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Knocking a hole through the wall. Brilliant.
He was bald as a coot.
Yeah.
the fella,
As a coots. Yes, the fella.
he was bald as a coot.
Yeah.
I
The-
think they do that in prison so you can't get your hair pulled during a fight.
Yeah, he was a bit Bronsonian.
All right, I thought it was a Brazilian thing.
No.
Oh, lovely.
Thanks very much. Thanks very
I've
much.
gone out on such a high.
But you know what I was shocked about,
Stop
Frank?
now.
I thought being in prison, and inmates can put me right here, but I thought you became something of a muscle Mary, because I thought they all worked out and read the Bible and things. Do you know what I mean? There's not that much to do.
Well, I can only speak of my friend Armand Mivers, the German cannibal.
It's hardly atypical diet-wise.
If anything, he's lost weight because they don't cater for the specialist diet. I must say.
He's
This
on a
guy-
Virgin of the Atkins, isn't he? He'd like to eat Atkins.
Exactly. This prisoner that got stuck in the hole,
Yeah.
I felt a bit sorry for him because the headline said something like "prisoner too fat to escape," and he wasn't actually. He was actually a big, strong bloke.
Strapping, yeah.
But he'd escaped with a little prisoner, and hasn't he? Who'd gone through first. That little guy had thought, I don't know if you're going to get through. Let me go through first.
Yeah.
I felt a bit, but it was a comical.
When it says prisoner too fat to escape, it could also have said hole too small for man to fit through, couldn't it?
Yeah.
Like this man.
But the fact a thin man had got through and a fat man got stuck was so classically Laurel and Hardy. It was absolutely...
What excuses has he got, though, Frank, to not work out? I've got a lot on.
I just like the idea that he cleared a space on the ground, put his elbow on it and looked into camera when he got stuck. I hope that happened.
The prison warden gave a quote. He said, look, he has a very large physique and is also very tall, which I thought was very kind. It's like when a friend says when the dress doesn't fit you, well, you're big boned.
Yeah, exactly. Statuesque. Yeah, I think what they should have done is, rather than let him get into trouble, is they should have covered him up with a giant poster of Rita Hayworth.
Oh, Frank.
Yes, it's a Shawshank Redemption joke. Get over it.
Finally. On this show.
Oh dear, we've been trying to get one in for such a long time. Do you remember the prisoner?
That joke's like music to my ears.
There's a prisoner who escaped. Do you remember him with dental floss? He collected dental floss and made a rope.
Oh.
Did he?
And no, he collected it over like 3 years and made a rope. It was absolutely true story. But I always thought not only did he escape, but you know that sort of gun you get around bars in a prison window. He cleared all that out. Lovely.
This is
Frank Skinner, Absolute Radio.
Email corner. Yes.
That's one of my favourite ones you've ever done.
Thanks.
Frank, this is from Sarah, who says, she's a Sarah, actually, because she says not the poisoner, but more of that later. Whilst listening to my local radio show, I was thrilled to hear of a new invention. What will they think of next, Alan? That has been necessitated by the continual increase in excess baggage fees. These wonderful...
Not the sausage bomb bag.
These wonderful inventors have designed wearable luggage. After checking out the website, I decided that this product may be suitable for the boys on the show, taking into account Frank's loathing of wheeled luggage and the cockerel's inclination to save a few bob wherever possible. However, I feel that the Divine Miss M would rather be seen out on the town with the gaffster than wear one of these garments. Kind regards.
Well, I've worn one of these jackets.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's like, there's no sleeves on it. And it's got massive... the pockets are so big that you just wear it on over your normal clothes. And I could get a laptop, book, everything you could possibly need on a flight, just in the pockets of this thing. It's like a sort of a flimsy Ivy's jacket, but with massive, hard-wearing pockets.
How did it look?
It didn't look great.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
But you're only really wearing it for boarding and then...
Yeah.
Disembarking, if
but
you will.
because only a few thou will see you then.
But I don't need that much on a plane. I don't know why people have... I see people with their hand luggage is on wheels.
No, this is to save people putting it in the hold and having to pay like a £15...
Work harder. That's my advice. I thought... all I need on a... I've found... You know those games that you get, like a clown's face... with some holes in it, indentations, and ball bearings.
Oh, yeah.
And you roll them around and you try and get the ball bearings into the indentations. Do you remember those games?
Yeah.
I do.
I found one of them would get me through a long-haul flight.
Do them on a plane? You've no chance. You've made it too difficult for yourself, haven't you?
No,
wonder you've got a long-haul flight.
Once you're in cruise mode... It's, when I say cruise mode, I don't mean...
sitting next to Tom Cruise in 1A?
I
Lovely.
don't mean living in a false marriage. I mean, once the plane settles down... And you know what? If the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week, and it'll be our last show of 2012. What a glorious year it's been. What a great summer of sport. Anyway, so we will hopefully be all gathered together then. Good night, and God bless you.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.